The 1980s brought forth many a high school movie. The most famous movies were the John Hughes movies such as Pretty in Pink, The Breakfast Club, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. These are all great movies in their own right, but it was a movie by director Michael Lehman and writer Daniel Waters in 1989 that would prove to be the defining high school movie of that decade. That movie was Heathers. Heathers is anchored by a career performance from Winona Ryder. Winona Ryder has said that she was motivated to make this movie because of her strong feelings about girl cliques, the pervasive bullying that goes on in high schools, and the hellishness of the high school experience. With a character name of Veronica, she is the black sheep in the group of 4 popular girls at school, with the other 3 girls all being named Heather, which is where the title of the film comes from. Unlike the more teen-friendly John Hughes movies, Heathers is an R-rated dark comedy covering the themes of body image, depressive isolation, date rape, murder, suicide, and toxic relationships. Veronica is just trying to be like one of the other Heathers at the start of the movie, even though she hates the peer pressure of doing things she's morally against.
I don't really like my friends. It's just like they're people I work with and our job is being popular and shit.
All that is about to change, though, when she starts a relationship with the new bad boy student at school named JD, played by a young Christian Slater. Christian Slater has a star-making performance in the movie, and his character of JD is the main driver of the plot. JD uses his influence on Veronica after hooking up with her to push her towards killing everyone whom he considers to be a bad element in the school, while having the idea of making them all look like suicides. Even though when they kill the first Heather, it can be considered somewhat of an unintended accident, JD starts to like the idea of killing everyone that he feels deserves it. JD is also an immensely tragic character, which is part of what makes him such a great antagonist. After witnessing the suicide of his mother when he was a kid, JD carries that trauma along with being an outcast wherever the next place his dad moves him to. He's also the only character in the movie to successfully commit suicide at the climax of the film. He's a character that especially has a much deeper meaning today after school and mass shooting events such as Columbine and Parkland.
Yeah, I mean, who hasn't just idly thought about taking out the whole place with a semi-automatic? I said idly.
One great strength of Heathers that always stands out to me is the memorable lines from the fantastic script by Daniel Waters. It contains great quotable lines, such as,
"Fuck me gently with a chainsaw."
Dear Diary, my teen angst bullshit has a body count.
Whether to kill yourself or not is one of the most important decisions a teenager can make.
The best and most memorable line of all, though, has to be when the father of one of the 2 football players, who they believe were killed in an apparent gay suicide pact, is giving a eulogy.
My son's a homosexual, and I love him. I love my dead gay son.
You'll be quoting Heathers for a while with friends long after you've seen it. Heathers also has a memorable and distinct soundtrack with a score by David Newman. An opening and closing song of Que Sera Sera also provides a nice theme for the movie. It bookends the start and ending of the film and gives the story a nice, whimsical feel to it. The only other featured song used in the film provides the main message of the whole movie. The name of the song? Teenage Suicide, Don't Do It. Fairly on the nose if you ask me.
Playing our song.
Here it is. Teenage suicide. Don't do it.
Teenage suicide. Don't do it. Teenage suicide. She blew it. Teenage suicide. Don't do it. Teenage.
One thing that always stands out to me when I watch this movie is the wonderful display of 80s fashion. The blazers, designs, and hairstyles could only have come from the 80s. The character of JD is the only one who looks the most timeless out of the bunch, since a dark trench coat never goes out of style. The most interesting costume choice, though, is whatever the hell the spirit of Heather Chandler was wearing in a dream sequence. I guess that's the beauty of dream sequences. You can do weird stuff in them. The best thing about the costume design in Heathers, aside from its 80s-ness, has to be the use of colors. The 5 major characters each have a prominent color, and by extension, a certain emotion attached to them. Veronica is dressed in pure blue. The alpha Heather Chandler is dressed in power red. Heather McNamara is in an innocent yellow. Heather Duke in secondary green. And JD in evil black. One thing I love about this is that it shows character transitions at certain points in the film. After Heather Chandler is killed and taken out of the top of the high school hierarchy, Heather Duke stops wearing green and adopts the color of red in her wardrobe to signify her stepping into the role of the new queen of the colony.
Heather, why can't you just be a friend? Why are you such a mega bitch?
Because I can be.
The red hairband that she takes after Heather Chandler's demise also represents a sort of crown for this role. The symbolism is further cemented when, at the end of the film, Veronica takes the hairband off Heather Duke and puts it on herself, proclaiming that there's a new sheriff in town. The real staying power of Heather's rests in the major themes that it tackles. Even though the script plays the movie up as more of a satire with how the high school faculty is represented in their reactions to the suicides, the major commentary on teenage suicide and toxic relationships carry heavy weight. It shows how peer pressure can carry a heavy influence on the major social groups in school, and how being an outcast from that group can cause major depression and lead to suicidal thoughts. The scene where Veronica stops Heather McNamara from committing suicide in the bathroom is the main showcase of this. It tackles the questions of why a teenager would feel that they have no choice but to commit suicide, and also why doing so would be stupid.
Suicide is a private thing. Heather, you're throwing your life away to become a statistic in the US fucking A today. Now that is about the least private thing I can think of. What about Heather and Kurt and Ram? Everyone jump off a bridge, would you? Probably. Now, if you were happy every day of your life, you wouldn't be a human being, you'd be a game show host. What do you say we knock off early, buy some shoes, something lame like that? Okay.
We also see the outcasted Martha attempt to commit suicide, only to later reveal that she was unsuccessful in her attempt, which prompts Heather Duke to mock her even more for being a failure at that.
Is she dead?
No, that's the punchline. She's alive and in stable condition. Just another case of a geek trying to imitate the popular people of the school and failing miserably. Is that pate?
The relationship that starts between Veronica and JD is a textbook example of how one partner can have a toxic effect on the other, leading them both down a path of self-destruction. They practically beat you on the head with it, as JD literally self-destructs at the end of the film. Veronica is ultimately saved by her rejection of JD and his codependent bullshit. She sees the futility of the path JD is taking and is doing her best to get away from it.
Tomorrow someone else is just gonna move into her place. That person could be me.
JD lost the love of his mother when he was young and shows his disconnect with his dad.
Last time I saw my mom, she was waving from a library window in Texas. Right, Dad?
Right. Son.
Right.
He then shows a need for the love of Veronica and her acceptance of him with his views and choices.
Sorry, I'm just feeling a little superior tonight. 7 schools in 7 states, and the only thing different is my locker combination. Our love is God. Let's go get a slushie.
When she stops giving him both, that's the trigger that leads him down his final path of self-destruction. It was only through the direct actions of Veronica that he is prevented from taking the rest of the school and the people that he hates with him. There were originally several alternate endings for the film than the one they ultimately decided on. The original ending from scriptwriter David Waters had JD being successful in blowing up the entire school, and then ending the movie with everyone getting together in a sort of a prom in heaven where everyone got along and accepted one another, just as JD proclaimed while trying to blow up the school. When that was rejected for being too dark, since they all died, the writer then had Martha stab Veronica when she was trying to make peace with her at the end, claiming that she is a Heather, while Veronica is denying it. In the end, we ultimately got the ending that was used in the film when Martha accepted the peace offering, and the movie ends on a more upbeat and hopeful note. The more upbeat ending was a good choice since the cult following that would grow with the movie over time would eventually lead to a successful stage musical adaptation in 2014. The musical is great at expanding on the themes from the movie, using the power of musical numbers to help highlight them. The great and iconic line of, "I love my dead gay son," even gets its very own song. I recommend listening to the West End version of the show, since that version replaces one song with a better one and adds two of the best songs in the whole show. Musicals always have songs containing certain emotional themes, and the Fuck You song is always my favorite song in any musical. And I Say No is the best Fuck You song from a musical that I've heard in a long while.
Blame your childhood, blame your dad, blame the life you never had. But hurting people, that's your choice, my friend. 'Cause I believe that love will win, and hate will earn you nothing in the end. This is the end!
But I love you!
Dude. This is it! I won't cry, starting now. I will try to pay back all the karma. Start again, somewhere new, far from cool guys like you. So goodbye, 'cause now I say no!
Heathers will always be a great movie and one of my favorites to rewatch. The themes contained within will continue to resonate with high schoolers today. While there are other high school movies made during the 80s that teens can also identify with, none of them quite have the biting satire and dark themes that Heathers provides. For me, Heathers will always be the best high school movie of the 80s.
How very.
Here's what she said to me.
Greetings and salutations.
How very.
The extreme always seems to make an impression.
You stupid fuck.
You goddamn bitch. Lick it up, baby. Lick it up.
Corn nuts.
I just killed my best friend.
And your worst enemy. Our love is God. Oh man, they were fags.
I love my dead gay son.
Dear Diary, my teen angst bullshit has a body count.
Chaos is what killed the dinosaurs, darling.
Suicide is a private thing.
Nag, 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 nag!
Veronica! Whether to kill yourself or not is one of the most important decisions a teenager can make.
Get a job.
Fuck you!
You look like hell.
Yeah, I just got back.